how you going? So today on BKRsport, it is starting to kind of get to time that rugby league content really starts to pick up again. Obviously, it has been the off-season. People still kind of getting over the New Year's and Christmas period. Obviously, I'm still getting over my sickness. So if you've seen a lot of cuts, guys, it's because I'm coughing a lot. Yes, I'm really trying to recover from this sickness. And no, Jay, I saw your comment in the last video. It was not New Year's Eve, only a little bit of New Year's Eve, which was pretty crazy, and I'm still recovering from it. But it has nothing to do with me recovering from it right now. It's like Shutter Island. You don't know what the real answer is there. Maybe it was New Year's Eve, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was and it wasn't. Now we're talking. I'm basically Martin Scorsese over here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Parramatta Squeals. The Parramatta Squeals, the Parramatta Eels, and kind of what my thoughts are of this team, because they are, I guess I'd say, a really interesting team right now. They are probably one of the more strange teams to read. Like, there are teams at the bottom of the table where you know they're going to be bad, or you know they're on the up, or you know they're improving. There's teams at the top that you know we're going to stay there, you know we're going to go down. But I'd say the Eels and the Sharks are probably the two teams right now that you really don't know how to get a read on. I'd probably say you do actually have an understanding. We'll get into a Sharks video a little bit later on, but the Eels are a team that are often kind of glanced over, I would say. You know, they're a team that are there, they can compete, but also no one's really threatened by them overall. We all know the history, 38 years without a premiership, and they've won nearly more spoons than the Titans have been years in the comp, and definitely more spoons than the Dolphins have been in the comp. We all know the history that the Eels have been a super unsuccessful franchise since the 1980s when they had the likes of Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny and who's some others. I should know these, considering that our buddy I did the draft with TJ. Oh no, you guys haven't seen that one yet. Oh no, I don't know any Eels players from back then. No, they had a great team. You know, they were really good in the 80s, and people don't really care about that now because obviously that was a long time ago. Like I said, nearly 40 years ago. But at the same point, they were a very good team back then. Long time between drinks. But, you know, obviously in recent years, right, the Eels have gotten to the grand final, which was something that hadn't happened since 2009, and before that I think it was 2001. So they kind of go through stints of about 10 years or so until they get into another grand final. I'm not too sure about the 90s and whatnot, and it may have been in the 90s, I'm not too sure. Point of the matter is, the Eels, they kind of seem to go through stints before they get into a grand final, roughly around the 10-year mark. And obviously, they were in the grand final just the other year in 2022, where they got absolutely whooped by the Penrith Panthers. Their rivals there, but the Panthers are just really, really quality of a team right now. But I will also say this, that they know how to beat the Panthers. They always seem to beat the Panthers in the regular season, but when it comes to the clutch, when they played them in the semi-final the other year, 2021 I think it was, 2022 the grand final, they just seem to always lose, right? And not have what it takes to get them in the clutch. And I don't understand the Eels fans thinking they should have won 2021. It wasn't going to happen. Panthers were just simply the better team. But at the end of the day, guys, the purpose of this video is I want to kind of discuss whether I think that this playing group can win a grand final in the near future. And I want to discuss this. That was all kind of a little bit off topic, but at the end of the day, it's still, I guess, interesting, right? As we're getting back into the rugby league mindset. But I want to talk about whether I think this team can win a premiership. Because in previous years, I have said to you guys, and I said this to you as before I went to that grand final in 2022 and vlogged it from an Eels perspective. If they don't win this grand final, they're not going to win with this playing group. Because in 2021, I said, I don't think this playing group can win a grand final. So they kind of proved me wrong by getting to the grand final, but they proved me right by getting whooped in it. And I just don't know if I can see these guys hoisting that trophy up high in the air. I don't know if I can see them getting over the likes of Penrith, who are the kind of meeting point right now. You need to be able to at least meet them here to compete with them. I'm not even talking about going above them. And like I said before, the Eels know how to beat the Panthers, but not in those big stages. Now the Panthers have got plenty of big stage games under their belt that they know how to win those real close clutch games when it matters. The regular season, at the end of the day, as long as you make the top four, you've got a real solid chance to win that premiership. A really, really solid chance to win the premiership. You don't need to necessarily worry about games like that in the regular season. The Panthers know that. Right, even the first week of the finals in 2021 with the Rabbitohs taking on the Panthers. And I said to you guys, I think the Rabbitohs beat the Panthers here, but I think the Panthers beat the Rabbitohs in the grand final. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm comparing this Eels playing group to a team like the Panthers, or even to a team like the Melbourne Storm, right, who have done it with pretty much this playing group. Not kind of, but their spine is relatively intact comparatively, you know, to I guess a lot of their mediocre positions, like I don't even know why they're mediocre, but I guess a lot of their other individual positions, centers, back rowers, front rowers, lock, wingers and whatnot, may not be at their peak like they have been in the past, and that's why a lot of people are doubting them going forward. But at the end of the day, the Storm team, with the players Munster, Jerome Hughes, little Bubby Bubbenhausen, and Harry Grant, they have won a premiership together. So you compare them to them, right? And then you go and have a look at the Roosters. They've chopped and changed quite a lot, so I wouldn't look too much towards that 2019-2018 period. So overall, I want to compare them to those two teams. Do I think they have the quality to take them down? And my answer is probably not. I don't think so. I don't know if Brad Arthur has the ability to change this team from a competitive team to a we're going to win the grand final team. I don't know if you can adjust the mindset, because as fans, we're allowed to look at it like, oh, it's just Parramatta. You know, as fans, we're allowed to look at it like there's a curse and there's, you know, there's a mindset within the club that they'll never be successful. Happens all over the place. Happens all over the world in every different sport, everywhere. We're allowed to think like that because it's a part of the game, right? The players can't. But I do feel like this organisation and the players within and the people within have this kind of sense, like maybe through social media, that it is kind of forced upon yourself, that they believe that they're not going to win, like subtly, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that they're going out there saying, oh, we're going to lose. But I do feel like there is an aura that it just can't be done. Right? I do feel like there's that aura around this club right now. Even though the fans will always back him in, I do feel like there's an aura. Trust me, as a Titans fan, it's hard to fight off the aura of our club too. But let's go and have a look at the team, right? So you got Clint Gutherson. Now, Gutho is a great defensive fullback. He's a great player. I would say he's probably top 5. But with that being said, when I'm looking at a draft, right, I'm taking guys like, you know, I'm taking others over him. Let's put it that way. I'm taking others over him. But I do think that Gutho is a really safe, reliable fullback. I don't think he's got that extraordinary flair like you will see with other players. You go to the wings, Bailey Simons and Marcus Sivo. Sivo needs to turn up a little bit more, right? And Bailey Simonson is a bit how you're going. But overall, it's a reliable enough wing pairing there. And then you go to the centres of Sean Russell and Will Penasini. Penasini, great defensive centre. Sean Russell plagued with injuries. But overall, it's a reliable enough centre pairing. So throughout that 1 to 5, it's okay, right? It's reliable, is what I would say. But then you get to the halves. And you got Dylan Brown in the 5'8", and you got Mitchell Moses in the 7. Now these guys can be unbelievable. Like, these guys really know how to turn it on. But for some reason, they only turned on when the game doesn't actually really mean much. Like, Dylan Brown can be a top 2 5'8" in the game. Honestly, has the potential to be the number 1 5'8" in the game. And I'm talking over Munster. He has the potential, but he hasn't lived up anywhere near that. And then Mitchell Moses, I don't think he has the elite quality of a Nathan Cleary, but we do know that he's a top half in the game. So there's nothing to say that those two halves shouldn't be able to get the job done and actually win a premiership. I think that those two halves there are a premiership winning pairing, but it just seems like when the going gets tough, these guys don't get going. Right? These guys really go missing, or they just get frazzled and they believe in the club culture of unsuccess. Right, and that is a really big no-no. That is something, you can't have your halfback in 5'8" thinking like that. They won't admit to thinking like that, but at the end of the day, maybe it's just like an internal thing, because overall, why is it when things actually mean something and matter, Dylan Brown, who could be one of the best 5'8" in the game, and Mitchell Moses, who could be one of the best halfbacks in the game, always go missing. These guys need to step up and show the potential that they absolutely have. Moses has done more of proving that than Dylan Brown, but at the end of the day, both of these guys haven't lived up to what they need to be doing to win the premiership that Parramatta fans deserve. We go on to the forwards now, right? You've got Regan Campbell-Gillard and Junior Bolt in the front row. Those guys can win a premiership. That is a great front row pairing. That is a fantastic front row pairing. Right? There's no problems with that at all. But then you go to the number 9 in Brendan Hands. And I think Brendan Hand's only played 1 year now, so I'm not going to go too harsh on him. I don't see him having an unbelievable potential. I think Reid Marnie was the perfect fit there. Really sad they lost him. I think the Parramatta would have actually had a decent enough chance to potentially compete again if they had Reid Marnie there. But I think the 9 is a really big worry for the Eels right now. I think it's a worry for quite a few clubs at the moment, to be honest with you. I don't think there's a plethora of hookers like there have been in the past. But Brendan Hand, for me, I don't know if he's going to win a premiership. right? And this is what my biggest problem with the Broncos are that we'll do in another video. The Broncos are a hooker away from winning the premiership, in my opinion. I genuinely believe it, and I've said this for years now. The Broncos are a hooker away from winning the premiership. I don't believe in Billy Walters. And I think the Eels, I don't think that's their only problem, but Brendan Hands is potentially a problem. He needs to prove himself this year quite dramatically. The back row, Ryan Madison, Sean Lane, I love that. I think that's fine. I think you can win a premiership with those two. And I love Jermaine Hopgood in the 13. So overall, their forward pack is a premiership winning forward pack, in my personal opinion, besides the 9. And then in regards to the back line, it's overall reliable and inconsistent. So I think what's holding the Eels back right now is arguably the back line, which a lot of people don't actually look at. They're not looking at the Eels for the back line. But overall, the back line of the Eels is way too inconsistent, and they're just simply reliable, which is probably what's holding them back from being able to actually go and do the big time job. The bench, and this is through their predicted team, right? The bench of Joe Offahengawi, Bryce Cartwright, Wirra McGregor, and Kaba Tuolangi. They obviously signed Tuolangi from Manly. They did, yep, that's right. And they also signed Morgan Harper, which they haven't put in the team here, but I personally would have Penasini and Sean Russell over Harper. I would, so I think that's kind of fine there. I think that Harper is a depth option for them, and Sean Russell is quite injury plagued, so I'm understanding of that and aware of that. But yeah, I would say that bench there is okay. I think that it's fine. It's nothing spectacular. So when you look at the overall team of the Eels here, do I think they can win a premiership right now? No, not with this team. The forwards, yes, but I think that the Eels organisation needs to, 1, look at their 9, and 2, probably look towards more of their backline as well. I think that Mitchell Moses is not getting any younger. He's 29 or 28, 29 I think it is. Dylan Brown's still super young, man, plenty of time. You keep that halves pound. You don't let that halves pound go anywhere. But you go through that 1 through 5, I do think you need to change it up. I think you need to change it up, man. And then you go on to the 9, and I feel like you need something more as well. I do. I think you need something more. So, right this very second, this playing group here will not win a grand final. But it's not a full rebuild kind of deal. It's a certain areas. It's just a certain areas. There are teams like the Dragons in the full rebuild. You know, there are teams like, and I would honestly still say the Dogs are at that point. I would still say the Tigers are in the middle of a full rebuild. But the Eels, they're a team that are still years away from winning the premiership, but they need to just focus on that back line, in my personal opinion, if they're going to go and do it. And they need to rid themselves of this ideology that the Eels are one of the unsuccessful teams of the NRL and they're never going to do it, if you know what I'm saying. They need to realign their thought process to know that they can do it, right? And they will do it. That's my biggest issue with the Eels, because I definitely believe that it comes from the fans. I definitely believe it comes from the banter and the sledging, whether it be opponents or even their own fans, right? So I don't think the Eels are as far away as I originally thought, but still they need to figure out how to fix that back line, in my personal opinion. I don't think you can give up on Moses. I don't think you can. I don't know if he's going to win your premiership, but I don't think you can get rid of him. I don't think you can give up on him and move on. I don't think it's possible. So, yeah, look, Eels fans, you're not in an awful position. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't make the 8 this year, but I don't think I'd be surprised if you made 4th or 5th either. I think there is a range from about 11th to 4th is what I would say. 11th to 4th is kind of where I'd be placing this Eels team right this very second. But there we go, guys. I appreciate you as usual. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Obviously, comment below whether you agree or disagree with my thoughts. At the end of the day, this is just my thoughts and my opinion. So like I said, comment below your opinion. I appreciate you. Like I said, thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.